जय कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन जय ब्रजजनरंजन यमुनतीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय हरे कृष्ण। So we're reading from the third canto, first chapter, verse number 24. ततस्त्व अतिव्रज्य सुराष्ट्रमृद्धम् सौवीरमत्स्यान् कुरुजाङ्गलांश्च कालेन तावद् यमुनामुपेत्य तत्रोद्धवं भागवतं ददर्श ततस्त अतिव्रजसुराष्ट्रमृद्धम् सौवीरमत्स्यान् कुरुजाङ्गलांश्च कालेन तावद् यमुनाम् उपेत्य तत्रोद्धवं भागवतं ददर्श ततस्त्व अतिव्रजसुराष्ट्रमृद्धम् सौवीर्यमत्स्यान् कुरुजाङ्गलांश्च कालेन तावद् यमुनामुपेत्य तत्रोद्धवं भागवतं ददर्श. Yes, any माताएं? Word-to-word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tataha, from there, to, but, Ativrajya, by passing over, Surashtrim, the kingdom of Surat, Riddham, very wealthy, Sauvira, the kingdom of Sauvira, Matsyan, the kingdom of Matsya, Kurujangalan, the kingdom of Western India up to the Delhi province. Cha, also, Kalena, in course of time, Tavat, as soon as, Yamunam, bank of the river Yamuna, Upetya, reaching, Tatra, there, Uddhavam, Uddhava, one of the prominent Yadus, Bhagavatam, the great devotee of Lord Krishna, Daddarsha, happened to see. Translation: thereafter, he passed through very wealthy provinces like Surat, Sauvira and Matsya, and through Western India, known as Kurujangala. At last, he reached the bank of the Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhava, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. The tract of land, purport, the tract of land comprising about 100 square miles from modern Delhi to the Mathura district in Uttar Pradesh, including a portion of the Gurgaon district in Punjab, is considered to be the topmost place of pilgrimage in all of India. This land is sacred because Lord Krishna traveled through it many times. From the very beginning of his appearance, he was at Mathura in the house of his maternal uncle Kamsa, and he was reared by his foster father, Maharaj Nanda, at Vrindavan. There are still many devotees of the Lord lingering there in ecstasy in search of Krishna and his childhood associates, the gopis. It is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face in that tract of land, but a devotee's eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as seeing him personally. How this is so cannot be explained, but it is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. Philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him at Vrindavan in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. Such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santah sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shyama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Those who are in ecstasy of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shyam Sundar, Krishna, see him always in their hearts due to love and devotional service rendered to the Lord. Both Vidhura and Uddhava were such elevated devotees, and therefore they both came to the bank of the Yamuna and met each other. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Matai Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyatyatesha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate kiram yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all the devotees for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. I request the prayers of all devotees that whatever I speak may be in parampara, and may it give give pleasure to Sri Nitai Gaur Chandra, Srila Prabhupada, and all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. So today we are seeing a very beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam, where it is being talked about the travel of Vidura, where he passed through provinces like Surat, Sauvira, and Matsya, through western India known as Kurujangla, and at last he reached Uddhava, where he happened to meet. At last he reached the bank of Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhava. So Srila Prabhupada's very beautiful purport, where Srila Prabhupada, he has mentioned about in this particular translation about Surat, about Sauvirya, about Matsya, but he focuses on Vrindavan. Now, that is Srila Prabhupada, Anywhere, anytime, anyhow, he just wants to connect to Vrindavan. Now, that is the consciousness of a pure devotee. He is Vrindavan conscious. At every point of time, he can see nothing in separate from Krishna. He can see nothing in separate from Vrindavan. So you will see, Srila Prabhupada at this particular point of time is remembering, how Krishna traveled through it many times in the land of Vrindavan. And from the beginning of his appearance, he was in Mathura, in the house of his uncle Kamsa, and then he was brought up by Maharaj Nanda at Vrindavan. And then Prabhupada makes a very beautiful statement, which is going to be the basis of our discussion today. Prabhupada says, philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and the very idea of searching for him at Vrindavan in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about how a devotee sees Krishna everywhere. And we see in the 6th chapter where Krishna says, Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mayi pashyati, tasyaham na pranashami, sa cha me na pranashati. So Krishna is advising Arjuna that learn the art of seeing me everywhere. Even the same sentiments are echoed even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is said, Sarva bhuteshu yah pashed bhagavad bhavam atmanaha bhutani bhagavati atmani sa esha bhagavat uttamaha. Right? So the vision of a pure devotee is, Prabhupada in this purport is talking about how a pure devotee sees Krishna face to face. In other words, how a pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere, at every moment in life, in any situation, in any circumstances, he sees Krishna everywhere. When Srila Prabhupada was in Chicago, probably going to Chicago very soon. So Srila Prabhupada was in Chicago, and he was traveling. That was the very early days of the movement, and Srila Prabhupada was welcomed to Chicago with a cold, breezy, windy winds there, and this particular disciple of Prabhupada had forgotten to bring Srila Prabhupada's jacket, and he went to Srila Prabhupada and begged forgiveness. Srila Prabhupada, I forgot to bring your jacket. You must be feeling cold. Prabhupada, in response to this, he said, "Oh, I'm actually feeling the cold embrace of Krishna. I feel Krishna is embracing me through these cold breezes." Right? So you see how a pure devotee, in this situation, Prabhupada could have said, how could you have forgotten my jacket? I will remember this next time and I will carry it myself only. There could have been multiple responses to this situation. But how did Srila Prabhupada respond? Srila Prabhupada could see Krishna in every situation. Oh, it is the cold embrace of Krishna. I can feel the embrace of Krishna. So you see, this is what is the vision of a pure devotee. Just 2 weeks ago, I was writing an email to one devotee. And, no, actually not 2 weeks ago, maybe it's 1 month ago. So there was one devotee who is present here in the Bhagavatam class. He just happened to peep into what I was writing. He was looking from behind, casually. And I was putting some devotee into CC. Immediately that devotee told me, CC means Chaitanya Charitamrita. Whenever you write an email, it should be in the etiquette of what we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then he said, this is the to do. And then I asked him, then what is not to do? Then he said, BCC. BCC? You should not blame, criticize or complain. This is the etiquette Vaishnavas should be following. I was like, wow. How, even in a simple email writing to a devotee, he could see Chaitanya Charitamrita and the way not to blame, criticize and complain to devotees. I was like, wow, what an amazing personality. He could see Krishna in that instance also, right? And we see this is what we see every time, amongst pure devotees. And we also see examples from Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Ramarand Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden complexion, beautiful Lord, he was sitting there with his sannyas danda. And suddenly, he puts his sannyas danda aside and he picks up the flute. And Ramanand Rai is shocked. That, that golden complexion, volcano of love, Sri Satyanandan Gaur Hari, has suddenly transformed into bluish black complexion. And he's wondering, what is this? What is happening? And suddenly Mahaprabhu then again changes to a sannyas, again he changes back from bluish black to golden complexion. And Ramanand Rai says, oh my dear Lord, very beautiful verse. Pahile dekhulin tomar sannyasi swaroop, ebe toma dekhe mui, shyama goparoop. Hey, wait, first I had seen this complexion, I had seen this form of a sannyasi. And now I'm seeing you as Krishna. Immediately Mahaprabhu responded, oh, this is the glory of your love. You can see Krishna in everything. You can see Krishna in me also. Ramanand Rai said, don't cheat me. Don't cheat me. So Mahaprabhu used this concept to illustrate this particular fact that how a pure devotee can see Krishna everywhere. There is another example from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Gaur Purnima is around the corner, right? So we'll discuss some pastimes of Mahaprabhu, right? So when we know, all of us know the story of how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai, right? So when Jagai and Madhai were, when Jagai and the entire episode happened, the Mahaprabhu said that if you want to be, delivered, he told, place a tulsi leaf on my palm, and then I will wipe off all your sins. As soon as the tulsi leaf was placed on his palm, Mahaprabhu's golden complexion turned into black. And then he saw towards Advaita Acharya and asked Advaita Acharya, so what do you see? And Advaita Acharya, in a mood of reverence and awe, he said, oh my dear Lord, I see my worshipable deity, whom I worship every single day in my life, my dear Madan Gopal. And Mahaprabhu immediately says, this is the nature of a pure devotee. He can see Krishna everywhere. All right? So this is, see, like once Jayapataka Maharaj, he was in Australia. So I was talking, many years ago, I was talking to this one devotee, from Australia, who would very often times, accompany Prabhuji also. His name was, I think, Abhishek Prabhu. So this was a conversation that happened, that took place long time ago, many years ago. I still remember that it created a very deep impression. So he was telling me some very nice pastime of Srila Prabhupada. So when Srila Prabhupada was in Australia, in Sydney, so there is a particular place in Sydney called Parramatta, Paramatta. And when Srila Prabhupada was there in Sydney, he looked at the word Paramatta, he removed the A after the P, and he said Pramatta. Nunam Pramatta Kurute Vikarma. Prabhupada could immediately relate Paramatta to Pramatta. This is the vision of pure devotee. Anything and everything he can see in connection with Krishna. His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj was also there. He came out, of course, after many years, when he also came at the same place in Sydney. He also saw the same word, Paramatta. And what could he envision? No. Parammata. Srimati Radharani, That is Jayapataka Maharaj. In Parramatta, he could see Srimati in the traffic lights of Sydney. Amongst that name, in that name, he could see Srimati Radharani. One more pastime I remember. His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he was giving a lecture. And suddenly he saw a person having, a t-shirt by the name Gap. Those t-shirts are very famous. Whenever you go on the street, many times you see people having that Gap t-shirts. Immediately he remembered, Govindamadi Purusham. So you see, this is the vision. Anything, anywhere, anything he sees, he can relate to Krishna. This is the beauty of, a pure devotee, right? Once His Holiness, His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj, he happened to be traveling to London, and in the bathroom, there were 2 bottles of Listerine mouthwash kept. I'm sure all of you know Listerine mouthwash. So there were 2 colors the host had kept. One was a blue color and one was a golden color. And then immediately, Radha Govind Maharaj, he paid his full obeisances. And the devotee was shocked. Maharaj, सब कुछ ठीक है? सब कुछ अच्छा चल रहा है? And Radha Govind Maharaj said, yes, everything good. Just that when I saw this golden liquid, it reminded me of Srimati Radharani. And when I saw the blue color, it reminded me of Shyam Sundar. I've come all the way so far from Vrindavan to this place, London. I'm remembering Radha Shyam Sundar. Once Radha Govind Maharaj, was traveling by the busy streets of Mumbai, and he had to take a right. The driver had to take a right turn. So the devotees in the car were telling Maharaj, "This is a nursing home." This is a nursing home? Do you mean this is the home of Narasimhadev? Right? So this is the beauty of, pure devotees. They can see Krishna everywhere, right? So whenever, let me ask you all of you a question. When you see the reflection of a particular object, let us say you see the reflection of a watermelon. For example, we had watermelon juice yesterday, so watermelon. So watermelon, when you see the reflection, what does it remind you of? 15.1. Okay. No, is this a general question? It has nothing to relate it to Krishna here. When you see the reflection of any object, what do you see? You see that you are immediately reminded of that object. You see the reflection of a watermelon, you see a watermelon, right? You get reminded of a watermelon. Now, for example, but if you see a watermelon, do you get reminded of its reflection? No, you don't get reminded of its reflection. In a very similar manner, the spiritual world, right, is like the real object. When you are in the person in the spiritual world, you don't get reminded of the reflection. But when you're in the material world, which is very often compared to the perverted reflection, you get reminded of the object. In a very similar manner, while we are staying in this world, in this material world, which is just a reflection of the spiritual world, we should be able to immediately remember Krishna. That's why, and that's what Krishna is giving us, that particular training in the Bhagavad Gita. Rasoham apsu kaunteya, prabhasmi shashi suryaho, pranava sarva vedeshu, shabdakhe paurasham rishu. I am the taste of water. I am the light in the sun and the moon. So Krishna at every point of time wants to connect with us. So that's why in the Bhagavad Gita he describes about his vibhutis. He describes about his various opulences, so that we can see Krishna at every point of time, in any situation, in any circumstance, right? So, just like another example from the Chaitanya Charitamrita that comes is of that of Mukunda. Mukunda, he was actually a doctor, a physician, and he happens to go to a particular he was called in order to treat the king. In those days, the thrones were placed, kind of, if you see, the Vikramaditya style kind of thrones, where there is a pedestal, a staircase, and then you ascend your throne. So there, Mukunda had gone to treat the king because he had a running temperature. And immediately, as soon as he saw the servant, with a peacock feather, fanning the king, he immediately fainted. And the king was surprised. What has happened? That king, the doctor Mukunda, who was supposed to treat the king, now the king, taking the role of the doctor, was now concerned and came down the stairs to check out what happened to Mukunda. And Mukunda was frothing in ecstasy, in love, in devotion, in separation from Krishna. And he was wondering what has happened. And now Mukunda at that point of time, he could not say that, what do I do? I'm just remembering Krishna. No, that is the nature of devotion. Nature of devotion is humility, manu shunyata. Right? You will never want to boast. But then Mukunda said, oh no, actually I suffer this disease of epilepsy very often. I get fits. That king said, oh, you cannot cheat me. No, I know the nature of pure devotion. I also worship God. And I know you are facing extreme separation from God. So a pure devotee is like a multimillionaire. Just like, a multimillionaire, if you go around with a briefcase having millions of dollars, with, nicely dressed, there's quite a good possibility that you can get robbed. By your appearance, you look very rich. But if suppose you are dressed like a farmer and you have a gunny sack bag having $1 million, though no one is foolish in the world to carry $1 million in the gunny bag rucksack, but in case, no one will ever catch you. No one will ever even have a faint hint that you're carrying $1 million, because you're dressed in the form of a farmer, right? In a very, very similar manner, pure devotees have $1 million. They are multi-millionaire, they are multi-billionaires, they are multi-trillionaires. Of what? They have Krishna Prem, the multi-millionaire of Krishna Prem they are having. But they walk around like, devotees that go unnoticed, just like a farmer, right? But we, I'm talking about not we, myself. If let us say we have, we have 500 rupee notes and many 10 rupee notes. So we'll make stack of, 10 rupee notes, and on the top we'll keep a 500 rupee note. And let us say, suppose somebody gets the briefcase that we are catching, and he opens the briefcase and he says, oh, 500 rupee notes. This person seems to be very rich. But below that 500 rupee note, what is there? Only 10 rupee notes. This is what is our devotion. Sorry, my devotion. This is what is my devotion. Wherein, we have slight inclination, but what we want to do, what I want to do, I want to boast to the outside world. Oh, I am so devoted. I can always think of Krishna. I can always connect to Krishna. But the pure devotees, they want to go unnoticed, right? And that is what we see. And we see, right? We also see the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was at the peak of his ecstasy. Whenever he would go anywhere, anything would remind him of Vrindavan, right? When he would see the trees of Vrindavan, he would see the trees of Vrindavan swing because of the movement of the wind. He would think, oh, the trees are dancing in ecstasy. When he would see the fruits of the trees, he would see, oh, the fruits are representing the devotional mood that are completely ripened, right? When he would see the trees bending down because of the weight of the fruits, he would see, look at that. The trees are bending down in offering obeisances in direction of Krishna, right? So you see, every time, anywhere, anyhow, when Mahaprabhu would see a water body, whether a lake or a pond, it would remind him of Yamuna. This was Mahaprabhu's devotion at every point of time. Now, it's not that Mahaprabhu did not know what is the difference between a pond, a lake, or a river. That Mahaprabhu, defeated Keshav Kashmiri. Keshav Kashmiri, within a fraction of, at the speed of wind, he recited 100 verses in glorification of Ganga. What beautiful glorification. And then after the entire glorification, Keshav Kashmiri asks Mahaprabhu, so, what do you think of my glorification? Mahaprabhu said, so where should we start? Should we start with the good points or should we start with the faults? Keshav Kashmiri said, kid, grow up. What do you mean? How can there be faults in my composition? Okay, let us start. In the 66th verse, Keshav Kashmiri, 66th verse? No, I composed all the verses in such speed. How could he have remembered the 66th verse? And Mahaprabhu reminded him to the first line. In the 66th verse, of course, we're not going into the details of that, but Mahaprabhu ripped every syllable of that verse. And Keshav Kashmiri was pounded and pulverized there. So, that Mahaprabhu who could defeat Keshav Kashmiri, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, Prakashan and Saraswati, don't you think he would know what is the difference between a lake and a river and a pond? He was completely, he knows, but this is the nature of love. When someone is blinded by love, he cannot understand. That's why in the material world, they say, love is blind, right? This was the nature of Mahaprabhu's love for Krishna, where he could conceive and perceive anything in relation to Krishna, in relation to Vrindavan, right? And in Antilila also there comes a very beautiful description where Sarup Damodar, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is at the peak of his ecstasy, Govinda keeps Mahaprabhu locked. There are layers of 3 doors, and Mahaprabhu slips in between the space between the door and the ground, and he goes into the ocean, dancing and jumping in ecstasy and swimming in the ocean, drowning himself in the ocean. And everyone is worried. Where is Mahaprabhu? Where is Mahaprabhu? And Sarup Damodar goes and rescues Mahaprabhu from the ocean. And Mahaprabhu tells Sarup Damodar, why did you rescue me? Mahaprabhu, you were in the ocean, drowning. I was in the ocean of bliss. I was serving Krishna, Radha and Krishna. I was offering them fruits. And now you have taken me out. Now what is the use of being in this world? So what level of connectivity? This is the nature of, of a pure devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, who's the Supreme Lord himself. I was recently, last year during Radhashtami, I happened to come across, we have this edition of Krishna Karnamrit, Kathamrit. So there a very beautiful description comes, I happen to read, a very beautiful descriptions as how Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna is at its highest peak. So there, such a beautiful description is given as to how when Srimati Radharani sees her hair, it reminds her of Krishna. When she decorates her eyes with the mascara, with the kajal, it reminds her of Krishna. She has the black, the black dot, on the chin, that reminds her of Krishna. The bumblebee buzzing around, that reminds of Krishna. She wears a blue sari just in remembrance of Krishna. She wears a bluish sapphire necklace, that reminds her of Krishna. There is a particular gopi called Shamala Gopi. When she just happens to come across Shamala Gopi, while meeting her, she faints there. Why? Because the word Shamala contains Shama, which means dark complexion. And dark complexion represents Krishna. So that would remind her of Krishna. Then she would see the tamal trees which have the same complexion that of Krishna, the same fragrance that of Krishna, reminds of Krishna, and there she would fall unconscious. The dark blue, fragrant lotuses would remind her of Krishna. The Yamuna waters would also remind her of Krishna. Sometimes the assistants of Srimati Radharani would go and would tell her, come, let's go to the Yamuna. Sometimes they would use the word Kalindi also. But Kalindi is fine, but another name of Yamuna is Krishna. And as soon as they would utter the word Krishna, there and there, she would faint. She would fall unconscious. And then, when she would see a deer with black spots, a deer in Sanskrit is called Krishnasar. That would also remind her of Krishna, right? Also, the dark night sky would remind her of Krishna. From Shukla, you have, from no moon to full moon, from full moon to no moon. So from no moon to full moon, it is called Shukla Paksh. From full moon to no moon, where the sky gets darker and darker and darker, it is called Krishna Paksh. Now, Paksh means on the side, like we have, Swapaksha on my side, Vipaksha on the opposite side. So, Krishna Paksh, on the side of Krishna. And that itself, as the night would grow darker and darker and darker and darker, her remembrance of Krishna would get even fonder and fonder and fonder and fonder. That is the nature of, loving devotion. Now it is described when Srimati Radharani gets angry. This is very fascinating. Anything black, she wants nothing to do with it. If she sees in the mirror her hair black, she takes a stone and throws at the mirror. And the mirror breaks in 1,000 pieces. And each piece reflects her hair. And she sees 1,000 forms of Krishna. Reminds her of 1,000 forms of Krishna. Krishna is saying, you hate me, you like me, but you cannot ignore me. Right? When instead of wearing a blue sari, that day she wears a red sari. Instead of wearing a blue sapphire necklace, she wears a pearl necklace. That day she will not put a a black dot here. She'll put a chandan dot. And then it is described, she purposely, if Shamala Gopi comes on the way, she purposely takes a 180-degree turn and goes away. She avoids her. She even tells the gopis, oh, these tamal trees remind me of Krishna. You know what you should do? You should whitewash those tamal trees. And in Jamuna, she would avoid going into the Yamuna waters. The night sky, if she would see the night sky, she would purposely carry an umbrella so that her vision of the night sky would get blocked. And moreover, the wind. Actually, Radharani's favorite season is the winters. Why? Because there the days are short and the nights are longer. Because that would remind her of Krishna. But this time she would hate the winters. And even her eyes would come in touch with the night black sky. She would shut her eyes tight. But while shutting her eyes also, everything would be black. And that would remind her of Krishna. This is the level of devotion, right, that Srimati Radharani would have. When even while she was trying so hard to forget Krishna, her forgetfulness would remind her more of Krishna. So you can see how, Srimati Radharani extols the highest love. And whatever little, she being the representative of Ladhini Shakti, whatever little devotion, whatever little love we have for the Supreme Lord is just an infinitesimal drop of that supremost love that our Supreme Mother has for our Supreme Father, right? Now you may be thinking, okay, we quoted. So what all examples we saw from the beginning? Let us do a quick revision. We saw the example of Prabhupada. Then we saw the example of His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj. We saw the example of Jai Pataka Maharaj. Then we saw the example of Mukunda. Then we saw the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we saw the example of Srimati Radharani. Now you must say, okay, these are from our sampradaya. Are there anyone from any other sampradaya who has exhibited such devotion? How many of you have heard of Vedanta Desika? Right? Vedanta Desika is an acharya coming in the Sri Sampradaya. Coming in the line of Sripad Ramanujacharya. So this is the final lap of our marathon. So let us, go ahead with what Vedanta Desika happens to extol the glories of his worshipable Lord. Who is his worshipable Lord? Vishnu, Ranganath, right? Vedanta Desika at his best. Now let us see. Now he says, very beautiful description he says. Please listen very attentively. I hope your hairs don't stand on ends after hearing this beautiful description, Such beautiful description. When I was, reading this particular description, he says, oh my dear Lord Vishnu, when I see the sun, it reminds me of your dazzling effulgence of your helmet, your crown. When I walk in this world, and when I see the soothing, brilliant, rejuvenating moonbeams of the moon, it reminds me of your beautiful, resplendent face. When I see the dark sky oh Lord, it reminds me of your soft, black, curly hairs that cascade down your shoulders. When I see the lotuses, it reminds me of your palm and your lotus feet. When I go around in this world and I see the various trees, specifically when I see the trunks of the trees, it reminds me of your thighs. When I see the oceans of honey which does not exist, but oceans in general, I remember your feet. Also, when I see the high tides in the ocean, it reminds me of the beautiful lines that decorate the soles of your feet. Then he goes on to say, when I see the whirlpools of the world in the ocean, it reminds me of your lotus navel. And just when you thought it has ended, it has just begun, this description. He then describes how from that lotus navel comes a lotus flower. And on that lotus flower is seated who? Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is seated. But then Lord Brahma has a respiratory problem. How is that? That I will be telling you in some time. So Lord Ranganath, Lord Vishnu, what does he hold? Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So where he has the conch shell, which resembles the moon, and he has the Sudarshan Chakra, which is as effulgent, as bright as the sun. So in the midst there's the lotus. So the lotus gets confused. When it sees the Sudarshan Chakra, which is like the sun, it blossoms. But at the same time, when it sees the conch-like moon, it shrivels. Again, when it sees the effulgent, dazzling chakra, it blossoms. Again, it shrivels. So like this, it goes back and forth. This is Vedanta Desika's, vision. And in that lotus, who is situated? Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma, when the lotus opens, he's breathing. And then, before the lotus closes, he exhales. And again he inhales. Again he exhales. And then, Vedanta Desika, in this beautiful series of verses, he says, on your chest resides Lakshmi in the form of a golden hair, who is protected, by the Gada, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, and by the lotus flower. You are protected by Jaya and Vijay, but Lakshmi is protected by these two paraphernalia of yourself, of you, Lord. Oh my dear Lord, how can anyone tell that you don't exist? My entire existence is smothered by your divine realm, by your divine love. So this was, Vedanta Desika, such beautiful description he gives in relation to, his worshipable Lord, Ranganath. So this is what is the vision of a pure devotee. Just like Vedanta Desika could see Vishnu everywhere, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could see Krishna everywhere, Hanuman would see Lord Ram everywhere, right? So that's why Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purport, he would say, he would give the example of how, when a daughter, when she comes home and she happens to see the tie of her father, she happens to see the shoes of the father, immediately it reminds her of her father, But let us say if there is someone else coming, the neighbor's child coming there, and happen to see the tie, the shoes, the wallet, the belt of the father, would it remind her of the child's father? No. In this world, we are like the neighbor's child. Unfortunately, we are like the neighbor's child, where we cannot see this world in connection with the Supreme Lord, right? So therefore, that's why even the Bhagavad Gita, the 7th chapter says, this is what is called Pritak Drishti. And therefore, Krishna is urging us, if you want to do Dridavrita Bhajan, you have to be freed from this vision of duality. Bhagavad Gita 7.28 says, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukto bhajante mam dridavrita. If you want to get the capacity to perform determined devotional service, it is important that we get freed from this vision of duality. Te dvandva moha nirmukta. That is very, very important, right? So that is what even this particular verse says. Bhayam dvitiya abhinevishatasyad isha tapetasya viparyayu asmriti. So there in that particular verse was bhayam dvitiya abhinevesh. That is ichha abhinevesh, rag abhinevesh and dvesh abhinevesh, where constantly there is repulsion there is attachment. There is repulsion, there is attachment. We have to be freed because this is what is binding us in this material world. So we have to get that vision where we see everything in relation to Krishna, everything in relation to Guru. That is what is very, very important, right? So we just have 4 minutes. Before that, we'll just summarize. I'll just maybe end with this. Recently, during the COVID also, that time when His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he was giving initiations online. So there was a particular devotee, who had his mask on. It was during the COVID. And I happened to see that those initiations live. These were for initiations for the devotees at ISV, ISKCON Silicon Valley. So there Maharaj requested, can you remove your mask? And then Maharaj paused. What level of connectivity? Maharaj said, initiation means unmasking. Wow, I was like, what a statement. Initiation means unmasking, right? And you can, interpret, good philosophical speculation you can do, what do you mean by unmasking? When we go in front of the spiritual master, we practically, go, I don't want to use the word naked, but we go naked with our desires. We go in front of the spiritual master, naked with our desires that this is what I am. Please accept me. And the Guru so mercifully accepts us, right? So, this is, what is the vision of a pure devotee. So I just have 2 minutes. I'll just quickly, summarize. So we, saw how a pure devotee sees everything in sees everything in relation to Krishna. And we gave the examples of, Srila Prabhupada in Chicago, Jai Pataka Maharaj in Australia, Radha Govind Maharaj in London. And then we gave examples of how, Mukunda in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jagai Madhai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to that extent, Srimati Radharani, how she represents the pinnacle of extreme loving emotions towards the Supreme Lord. And we also saw how in order to be able to do Dridvarta Bhajan, it is so important to get freed from this vision of duality. Te dvandva moha nirmukta, right? And we concluded with an example given by Srila Prabhupada of a girl when she sees things in relationship with her father, then it invokes memory of her father. But we unfortunately are like the neighbor's child, where we cannot see anything in connection to Krishna. We see it in connection with our selfish desires, right? And then we ended with a very beautiful line from His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, where he says, initiation means unmasking, right? So therefore, when we go in front of the lordships, when we take darshan, it is, we should go in that mood. Yes, we should open up to our superiors, to Guru, to Krishna, in front of the deities. This is what is the condition of my heart. I'm suffering from this dual vision where I see everything in separate of you. Oh my dear Lord, give me that vision where I can see every situation, every circumstance in connection with you. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki nitai gaur premanande. Hari Hari Bol.